Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Drop-In Morning Show with the Teach Better team, where we are live every single day, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. We have an incredible guest joining us this morning on Thursday, December 9th. We have a good news story for you. We have some really, really important holidays, and we're also going to continue our discussion of our theme this week. It is Thursday. We've had a theme that we've been talking about all week long, and we're just going to continue to foster that discussion. Please feel free to throw your name in the chat, say good morning, and be an active participant in today's conversation. Or if you are listening to this after the fact on Teach Better Talk podcast, we would love to hear from you. So take a screenshot, tag us on social media. This is going to be a fun discussion. We'll be right back to get started. Morning, everyone. Welcome to Daily Drop-In. It's bright and early. We're thrilled you're here. I have Mike with me. Mike, how are you this morning?
Hey, Ray, I am doing great. It is really good to be with you today. Great to see you. It's a little early here in the Chicagoland area, but it's great to get the day started with you. So thank you so much for inviting me in.
I know, Mike, we get to kind of like pick on our audience a little bit because we say we're live at 7 a.m. Eastern, but we're both Central Time Zone. So we are 6 a.m. early and getting our day started. So I really appreciate you joining us bright and early on the show.
Oh, I am so happy to be here. And you know what? It's a great way to start the day. So very happy to have a conversation with you. Love the work you do. Love the members of the Teach Better team. You guys are really inspiring. So thank you.
Well, I am thrilled you're here too. I was so excited to chat with you. It's been a fun week, but I've been waiting and waiting. I'm like, Thursday, Mike's going to be here. It's going to be awesome. You know, Mike, for our Teach Better family, if they're not connected with you, will you tell us a little about yourself, what you do in education, kind of all that jazz?
Sure. So officially in my day job, I'm a public school superintendent. So for about 12 years now in the Chicagoland metropolitan area, I've been a public school superintendent, pre-K 8, can't get out of middle school. Um, I'm in my third school district. I currently proudly serve the children in North Shore School District 112, located in Highland Park in Highwood, Illinois. We're on the beautiful shores of Lake Michigan, about 25 miles north of Chicago and about 25 miles south of the Wisconsin border. So right on the lake. We got about 3,700 kids, 500 amazing teachers, 30 really cool administrators. And our kids make up, children who are Caucasian, about 64%, African American, 2%, Asian heritage, 3%, and Latino heritage, Hispanic heritage, about 28%. We've got language diversity, economic diversity, really, really cool place to be. I've also was a teacher back in the day. I've been a graduate professor for about 15, 16 years. Ed leadership, people that want to be principals. I don't chase them out, I try to bring them in. I've also been blessed with opportunities to do international travel and service trips, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, trip to Australia for some educational stuff. And I do training with the AASA, American Association of School Administrators, for aspiring superintendents. So together with my partner in crime, Nick Polyak, another superintendent around here, we've done some leadership work in Mississippi. And now we've got about 29 amazing leaders from 18 US states in an online 12 or 13 month academy. They're going to graduate in February. And finally, I've had the really great pleasure of working with one of your folks, PJ Capozzi, a guy on the Teach Better team who is like an educational icon. And he and Nick and I have written 2 books together, and Nick and I wrote 3 books together. So I guess I keep busy. I've got a great wife who lets me do crazy things, 2 wonderful kids who keep me somewhat sane and a lot younger. They're both teenagers. And I guess that's my story.
Oh my gosh, Mike, that was a great overview, but now I have like 95 questions for you because there's so many connections there. got to give a shout out to PJ Capozzi. He's a part of the
Yeah.
Teach Better Team Speakers Network. I was actually just with him on Tuesday. I don't know if you've talked to him recently, but I was with him Tuesday. He was a keynote for an event that I was facilitating, and so it was so fun to be able to see him speak again. He's an all-star speaker.
Unbelievable. Great guy, really smart. I don't want to get his head too big, but he's great. He's awesome.
I know. I always tell him, I was like, I always talk you up, but just not in front of you, because then people know, that's a bad idea. But I didn't realize you were in Highland Park. I grew up in Glenview, so I'm very familiar with your school district.
Were you Glenbrook North or Glenbrook South?
Oh, how dare you. I was the better school. I was Glenbrook South all the way.
Go Spartans.
I was going to say, you got to love those rivalries, right?
Totally. I went to Maine East many years ago. So, yeah, there you go.
All these connections. I love it. Yeah, there's so many people I love meeting in the Chicagoland area, and then finding them on the map and being able to visit their schools. That's so fun. So you got a great little community up there. Yeah, and then you've been able to do so many things. Tell me about the books. I mean, you just casually say, oh, I've written 95 books, no, but really, like, what's the deal? Because it sounds like to me, Mike, you are constantly sharing and constantly hoping to coach and support the future leaders, not only in Illinois, but across the country. I'd love to learn more about why you wrote these books and what the intention are behind them.
Rae, thank you so much. So let's go back to the beginning of my career. A guy named Jim Newland, he was the assistant principal at Blackhawk Middle School in Bensonville, where I started my career as a 8th grade social studies teacher. And Jim was a pay it forward guy. And Jim saw things in me that I had no idea I had in me or whatever. And he helped support, guide, and coach me. And as a really, young 20-something teacher who knew nothing about anything, right? A little bit of history, but that was it. Nothing about life. He really implanted in me the gift of mentorship, the gift of coachingship. And I've sought to pay that forward for the decades I've been in this business. So flash forward, to the 2000s, and Nick Polyak and I met at the Illinois School of Advanced Leadership. So again, a professional development program for early career superintendents run by the IASA, designed to take you to the next level. Also designed to help you get better as a person, a human being, and as a professional. And that's a really neat professional development model. It's not just get better at school and get these metrics up. It's get better as a human being so you could fill your bucket, as they say, so you can help others. So that was early in the 2010s or whatever. And then that ended, and then we went to the AASA National Superintendent Certification Program. So little pause there. Love to learn, love to get better, want to be better for the people that I'm, serving, and be better for the work I'm doing, but also be better at home, be a better husband, be a better father, be a better just person. You know what I mean? Human being. And then all of a sudden, flashing forward to a future ready experience. Tom Murray, little shout out to, the future ready people. And all of a sudden, saw this futurist, this guy, Jack Aldrich, right? And it sounds so random, but I'll tie it together. So Jack Aldrich is on a video at a Future Ready Summit in Winthrop Harbor, way north in Illinois. And on the video, he's talking to some medical professionals. And to the medical professionals, the first thing he says is something silly. He's like, what two colors are a yield sign, right? You're like, what are you talking about, right? A yield sign on the road. So he says, if you think they're yellow and black, raise your hand. All right. So Rae, I'm 53, right? I raised my hand.
Yeah.
I thought they were yellow and black, right? It's yellow because it's caution. Well, he's like, and then he shows you a picture. They're red with like white, and you'll see it today when you're driving. You'll see a yield sign. His point was, we all learned it was yellow and black. It hadn't been yellow and black since the 70s, but, books take a while to get republished when you're teaching driver's ed. It was hard for us to unlearn that they're red. We know cognitively they're red. But then he gave like a significant example. He had said that the causes of an ulcer, people thought stress and spicy food. It's not. Obviously, it's bacteria. But when the medical profession discovered that, it took 17 years for the general mainstream medical profession to accept and embrace that ulcers were treatable with antibiotics because it was bacteria, it wasn't behavioral. Well, the doctor, Barry Marshall, who first brought this to the medical people, was laughed off the stage, was booed off the stage by his peers. He actually injected himself with the bacteria that cause ulcers to prove that it was there. So all of a sudden, in a snapshot, and this was Nick and I writing The Unlearning Leader, our first book, we said, no, wait a minute. If it takes 17 years to unlearn something that we know is wrong, it's been just proved scientifically, cognitively, it's wrong. But effectively, because we learned it and we hang on to it, we can't get rid of it. What does that mean for public ed, right? I'm a guy with age 3 to age 14. He's a guy with high school. We said, unacceptable. We can't go a generation and let children and teachers not do what's right because we don't understand, right? So that was the impetus for the Unlearning Leader, Leading for Tomorrow's Schools Today. Really, really crazy, amazing experience, humbling experience too, getting a few pitches rejected and stuff like that. But bottom line is Nick and I at that point wanted to simply share with the world, we work with amazing teachers, we work with great boards and great administrators who are doers, and they were able to dream cool things and then do it. And they iterated it and scaled it up, and we talk about change process, professional development, so on and so forth. Anyway, that was the first experience. It was bizarre, surreal, right? Writing a book, publishing a book, having anybody read it and get good reviews and all that. And then we were talking to PJ, who's a superstar. Talk about 95 books. This guy's got 10 books. And we were talking about a concept of student empowerment, engagement, leadership, and voice. And interestingly enough, we pitched the idea to a famous publisher who said, what are 3 superintendents going to know about student voice? And we're like, well, a lot, because we work with great people. Anywho, went to a publisher who said, yeah, you guys are awesome. It's kind of a fun part of the book writing process. Anyways, we wrote Student Voice from Invisible to Invaluable. It's a ton of work, but it's really fun. And we sort of write on top of each other, and we use collaborative docs. Flash forward to March 2020, right? Red lights, pandemic, oh my goodness. Everyone's got the COVID spike in their head, right? Anywho, we didn't write a book about COVID because no one's going to want to read about that. But what we did do is we said, look, PJ, Nick, and I are 3 superintendents. We're blessed with success, and we've got great people who build us up. I stand on the shoulders of giants every day. Our teachers are heroes. Our nurses are unbelievable. Administrators I work with are phenom, right? So the 3 of us are like, what are we learning though? We're experienced people, and we're struggling a little bit. We're having some trouble with this pandemic management. My goodness, what do we do? Anywho, we took our collective experiences, me being wiser and older, you can tell by the gray hair, and we put together a school leaders framework for growth and development that transcends this time in our world. It goes back, it goes to the present, it goes to the future. And we say, basically, leaders should lead with lenses of empathy and equity. Leaders should lead with the idea of adaptive change of being the goal. Develop those around you, make them better, communicate. I've said, Ray, if you think you're communicating effectively, probably multiply it by 10 because you're not. And look in the mirror. We're unfinished leaders. We never arrive. We're in process. We want to be the next version of ourselves. We want to be the best version of ourselves today because tomorrow will be a different version. So sorry for jawing on all over, but the books are like cathartic for me. Obviously, I won't speak for those guys, but it is too. And it's that whole thing going back to 1993 when Jim Newland selected me to be an assistant principal, to be a teacher. He was the assistant principal. I was a teacher, socialist teacher. And, my transcripts were good and then horrible because on a personal story, I did freshman year twice. And he was like, okay, so you've lived a little bit. You made a couple mistakes, but we're going to take a chance on you. He took a chance on me. Well, that's left an indelible mark on me. I take a chance on other people. He also believed in me, so I believe in other people. Any way I can help other people, that's what I do. So thanks.
Oh my gosh, Mike, I first off, I love these resources, but I really always appreciate hearing the stories behind the books because books are powerful, books are full of information, but when you understand the author's process, the development of why that project came to fruition, there's so much to come out of that. And so I so appreciate it. I don't think all of those books are featured on our Teach Better bookshelf, but for those of you listening, we will get those up there. So as you are searching Mike on Google, you can also go over to teachbetter.com/bookshelf and see books that we recommend. All the books you just shared, I know would be incredible resources for our crew. I'd love to make sure that those are highlighted there so people can grab them. I know you have a lot of projects that you're constantly working on, and no big deal. You're a superintendent supporting the school district as well. I want to get into all that. We're going to transition here for just a moment into our brainstorm bank. We're going to continue this education conversation. So we'll be right back. Hey friends, good morning. We are here on Daily Drop-In. It is Thursday, so we are kicking off our discussion on our brainstorm bank. Mike, this is a perfect transition because as you were talking a little about yourself, we were hearing about your books. Brainstorm Bank is an intentional time to kind of open the door to our entire community that is joining us live or that's popping in as we get going, and just make sure to ask, hey friends, do you need anything? You've constantly shown so many times already in your stories that you love to be a learner. And this is a perfect time to say, Mike and I are not going to say we're going to have all the answers, but we'd love to brainstorm with you. And so if nothing else, we really believe educators should not feel as though they're on an island. This is a collaborative community. And if you are looking to brainstorm an idea in your classroom that you're working through that has to do with your next lesson plan, a behavior that you're trying to support for a student, an initiative that you're trying to roll out as a leader, we just want to make sure you know that you are not doing that alone, and we're here to be with you. Mike, we've had a lot of discussion about these books and projects, and it's very evident that the books and projects that you are constantly working on are really relevant to what's going on in your life and what you're passionate about. So I'd love to ask you, do you have any new projects going on? I mean, it sounds like you keep busy, friend. So do you have anything special going on right now that is coming to fruition anytime soon?
Well, I will tell you, in my school district, which is awesome, my day job, we've been doing some massive facilities improvements. So at work, getting a community around support of spending a lot of money and expending resources and moving kids around has been really, really fulfilling. And March 30th, we opened Northwood Middle School. It was a 70-year-old school, but it's a brand new school with 70 years of history. We did a total gut rehab during the pandemic, planned it in 2018, opened it March 30th. And right now, Edgewood Middle School is under construction. So in our school district, I've got about 700 students attending at a school that the board closed 5 years ago. That's being used, maximizing use of assets and building Edgewood. So right now, we're working on referendum preparation in our community to see if we can get a big launch to fix 6 schools. So right now, my main project is trying to get school facilities fixed so the district can not have to worry about bricks and mortar and worry and focus exclusively on student learning. So that's the biggest project at work right now.
Mike, if you don't mind, I'm going to pause you. I want to hear the next part as well. But, we have a community of all types of educators, first-year teachers, veteran educators, school leaders, administrators. And sometimes we hear language in education that we sit back and say, okay, I've heard that 100 times, so I don't know what that means. So I always joke that I like to ask the dumb questions. From a big point of view, and, you don't need to go into too much detail. When we hear, oh, our school's working on a referendum, what does that actually mean? As a teacher, can you just tell me, what does that actually mean?
We are looking to ask the community to let us borrow a lot of money, millions, tens of millions of dollars in bonds, and then their taxes are going to go up just a little bit more than they normally go up. So, not the most popular ask, but we're doing it so we can get some money, a huge infusion of cash to fix schools that don't have air conditioning. So to get them air conditioned. So the teacher working conditions are super, and the student learning conditions are super. Right now, It's a pretty awesome place to work, but some schools are like almost 100 years old, no air conditioning. They have the fluorescent lights, not the LED. So the referendum allows us to say, hey, community, will you give us some money and then we'll fix your schools?
Well, and Mike, and that's perfect. I just think it's always important for us as teachers to not only be able to be as knowledgeable as possible about our classrooms, but also about how the school system operates. And so it's important to know as you sit in board meetings, and sometimes there's some emotions that are shared in those meetings or in the news. It's good to know kind of the basics. School district is asking for money. It does affect long-term wonderful, wonderful things, but taxes can increase, and that sometimes causes some of that emotional response. So good to know. But I appreciate it. You were going through some of the projects you're working on.
Cool. Yeah. And thank you. No, and I'm sorry to use jargon. I should know better
No,
than
no,
to use
no,
jargon.
no. It's good though. But constantly we're joking that like jargon's exactly what we want, but sometimes we're unable or unaware of what to ask questions about. So these are always just good for us to know. I really appreciate it.
No, it's awesome. And in our school district, also, we're working with a group to try to do a 10-week intervention with our teachers and students of English learners. We're doing what I'm going to call accelerated intervention to show the teachers and students that we can get some support from some professional coaches in addition to our instructional coaches. And we're going to do a 10-week I hate to use the word experiment because that sounds so like laboratory, right? Like white coat.
How about like deep dive, 10-week deep dive?
We're taking a deep dive to
dive.
help our teachers refine their craft and work together on some different view of collaborative planning to get some small victories that will transition into long victories for our English learners. We've been aware that they have been affected like dramatically during the pandemic and stuff like that. And we want to make sure that we help give our teachers the tools that they can have to be successful. So that's a huge project starting in February, still working out the details. I've got a great team who's doing most of the legwork, but that's a really big project. So yeah, anything to keep our teachers supported, keep our nurses sane because they've been going through so much right now, and to keep our administrators going. But really, Ray, we've got about 5-7 days until winter recess. That's going to be a decompression, total like find our zen moment, and then just hit it hard on student learning, student improvement, community development, referendum, and then on the personal professional side, contemplating another book or two. Right now, it's in the idea phase, probably 2 years out before anything hits the bookshelves.
That is so exciting. I'm thrilled that you not only obviously have these incredible projects that with your feet on the ground, doing it with the students and teachers that are in your school district, but then also looking at, okay, professionally outside of my day job, how else can I support other educators? So phenomenal, so exciting. This week we have had a theme of talking about technology. We're kind of doing a reflective moment of the fact that we were on tech overload a few months ago. Now most schools have had the opportunity to be in schools. I'm going to use this like very begrudgingly, but quote unquote back to normal, even though this is not at all normal. I mean, but truly we're looking at the idea of like finding that balance and using technology to be extremely intentional. We pushed ourselves out of our comfort zone. Now, how are we intentionally evaluating the tech that we choose to integrate now that we are physically back in the classroom with students? As a superintendent, Mike, I can only imagine that you are constantly using technology to keep yourself organized, to allow yourself to have and foster conversation. You're very active on Twitter and social media. So if I was to ask you for your best piece of advice of what technology you love to utilize or how you even evaluate what technology is beneficial for you to commit your time to, how can you give us your thoughts on that?
Wow, great question. Great question. So technology that helps humanize your relationships. So Twitter, for example, Twitter using just daily Twitter, celebrating the teachers in my district, promoting anything going on with 112 leads, the hashtag of school district 112. Also the monthly chat, soup chat, SUPT, on Twitter, first Wednesday of every month, 7 p.m. The humanization is I see you, I recognize you and I support you. I affirm you. I like you. And let's get together to learn from one another. In addition, web-based tools like this, allowing us to communicate on scale. We don't do all of our work all day long on a web conference, but the fact that we can drop in right now, 6 in the morning, talk to each other, learn with each other, and then record it and post it, that's humanizing because that's our relationship that goes out there. So I do support that short-term, on-scale web conferencing, whether it's StreamYard or Zencaster or YouTube or Zoom, or Google Meets, whatever. It's company agnostic. It's not promoting a brand. It's promoting the concept of dropping in. A quick example. So we have leadership team meetings every other week or whatever. We take our principals out of the building. They come to the district office. We develop, we talk, we learn, we build community. Well, this time of year, it's not ideal to take principals out of a school, right? And any teacher will tell you, please stop taking principal out of the school. So I totally get it, right?
Leave them here with us.
So what we've got going is I want to see everybody Monday next week before break. And we do have some important district-wide information. So I decided to Zoom. Let them stay in their school. I got Zoom, and if something comes up or someone needs them, they can go do it. So it's not running every meeting on Zoom, right? It's scaling it up here and there, taking the good that we've learned from it. Also, I do get into classrooms, not as much as I'd like to or should, but I do get into classrooms. I love to see the teachers with the balance of, there's technology all over, but they don't have to use it, from dusk till dawn. They use it very strategically, very tactically as necessary. And I totally support a non-tech experience also, or just use it to display, reinforce the expectations or display what we should be doing or procedures. So I probably didn't directly answer your question, but I'll say, was I good? Was that okay?
You did great. I do have to say, Mike, this has been the constant conversation. I think it's a beautiful reminder for the week that it's not about us coming on the daily drop-in and saying, all right, friends, every single person should be using insert technology resource here because this is the way of life. And what you're emphasizing is, yes, use technology, use it with intentionality. And if you are using it with a reflective lens of how is this enhancing the work that I'm doing, how is this making my students' work and my own personal work more effective and efficient, if the answer is, yep, this is not just replacing a means, but actually enhancing it in some way, let's make sure it's utilized. But there's also such a beauty in being reflective and saying, I don't need to do this via a tech resource. I have ulterior means to be able to be successful, and I can choose to do that too.
Absolutely. Thanks.
No, and that's kind of the element of remote learning, especially emergency remote learning. It was a luxury that teachers didn't necessarily have at that point in time, right? And not only educators in the classroom, but educators at a leadership level didn't necessarily have the luxury of saying, how can we meet in person or whatever? We were all very much taped to our computers. Now we have this opportunity to very much be reflective. And I love your kind of like acknowledgement of, yes, we do want to bring everyone together. Yes, there's important information to share, but can we have a Zoom meeting rather than meeting in person? Sometimes meeting in person is extremely valuable and necessary. For this Monday, Zoom it is. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Mike, we on Daily Drop-In get to talk about lots of different things, lots of different pieces, and especially with your insight and passion for leading leaders. I'd love to ask you, as we kind of wrap up here before we head into our good news, how your leadership coaching, your ability to be able to support educators, not only in your school district, but across the U.S., is there a specific strategy, tip and trick, or something that you provide leaders that every time you talk about it, they come to you after and say, oh my gosh, this was really meaningful. This was really powerful. Maybe it's a quote or a strategy that you can share with our community here that they could consider throughout their week.
It's simple. It is really simple. It's listening. And whether it's a structured coaching conversation that I'll run 3 or 4 times a year with each leader, asking a set of questions that I ask everybody that are designed to elicit certain responses and reflections from them, whether it's simply visiting and saying, literally old-fashioned, how you doing? And then just closing it and just listening. reminding everybody that we are here for a higher calling. It's not simply the task on the checklist to check off. It's let's take a few steps back and pause, breathe, and reflect. Um, and if I had advice to give, it would be right now give grace to others because when people are dealing with their own children, they have the right to be irrational. They don't have the right to be mean. They don't have the right to use profanity. They don't have the right to be uncivil. But they do have the right to be irrational because they have an irrational protection and an irrational fear of something bad happening to their child. So as long as leaders and teachers and educators understand it's not about us. People aren't attacking us, even if they're being mean. Just sort of listen. And that also goes through even when things are cool and you're just seeing someone you like and you're happy with and they're in your corner, just listen to them. And maybe the tactic is questioning, the strategy is structured questions, and then the action is just listen with your heart and show some empathy.
I love that. Thank you for that reminder. And that's so important as we continue to not only foster relationships with our students, our colleagues, our parents, our leadership, that component of listening, truly understanding not just the words they may be communicating, but the intention behind it. That is very, very powerful. We are going to continue this conversation over in our good news segment as we highlight holidays today and a very, very cute good news article. So we'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you're listening live, share this feed so everyone else catches this too. We'll be right back. Good morning, everyone. We are getting into our last segment of our morning together where we just get to continue conversation around good things. Of course, if you have questions or comments, I know Holly Stewart just gave us her insight that we're going to read here in a minute. We are here to engage and interact with you. Mike is always striving to collaborate with new educators, so we would love to discuss anything that's on your mind, even if it's just a good morning. We love the good morning messages. And we also have some good news article and celebration. You know, Mike, Holly is jumping in right now, and we're getting still some good morning messages as everyone's getting their day started. Holly Stewart is an incredible educator, and she's saying, I'm loving how even though the focus this week is on technology, listening is the skill that has been mentioned multiple times. I think that's such an important element, Mike, that regardless of the theme, there are some core pillars that really help us be successful throughout our educational journey. Any thoughts on Holly's comment?
Oh, Holly, thank you for shouting that out. I'll tell you, you lead with your heart. Focus on your mind, and we've got things to do. We've got tasks to complete, but just sort of remember, and I try to use this with my own children, my kids, who I'm trying to raise and help with my wife, do good things. Just sometimes we need to just notch it down a little bit, especially as an educator. I'm type A. I want to get everything this way. I want to control everything, right? But I've learned as I've gotten a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, just to notch it down a little bit and just be a little more open-minded to the views of others. And then building that relationship, that foundation of trust, we can do anything. So we can focus if you got to use technology or whatever, we can use technology. If you want to use a particular tutoring program or skill program or creative thinking, creative drawing program, we can do that together, or musical composition. But I'll tell you, the more I do this, the more I talk with people, the longer I serve, it's really just about maybe taking a step back and just breathing it in and listening. Everybody's got something to offer, Now, sometimes you're just dealing with real, lunacy. Again, sometimes you just have to say, hey, we're going to end that conversation and we'll go to a different one, obviously. But we lead with love, and we're here because we care about people and humanity. And, I'm in the public school system, so everyone's welcome. We embrace everybody, and we just say, okay, we're that salad bowl or that mix. Let's make it happen. Let's make it work.
I love that. So important. Holly, thank you for sharing your thoughts. We always love to see the comments in the chat, especially the good morning and all the good messages, especially if you have questions as well. So we are here to talk through that. While we are waiting for any other questions today, any other thoughts, reflections, comments, I know so many of us in the morning as we jump into Daily Drop-In are still sipping on our coffee in the midst of brushing our teeth, or better yet, the phone is in your closet, but you're walking around the house just listening as it's up really loud, trying to get ready for your day. We appreciate all of you that are here with us. As we get into our good news story, we'd love to know where you're listening from. I know that's a little challenge, especially if you've stepped away from your computer or your phone, wherever you're streaming from, but head back this way, follow the sound of our voice. We would love to have you comment in the chat where currently you are listening from. So maybe the state, the location, the town. I would actually really even love if you were able to admit that the phone was sitting on your nightstand and you're just walking around your house. So as descriptive as you're willing to give us, we'd love to hear where you are tuning in from this morning if you are live with us for the Daily Drop-In. It is 7:35 Eastern, but Mike and I are currently in Central Time Zone, so it's 6:35 right now. We're going to get into our good news story. Looks like we have some messages coming in. People are listening from Mundelein, Illinois, Fort Worth, Texas, South Carolina. These are good places, Mike. I think we need to take a little road trip.
Let's go. Mundeleин's right up the road, actually, a little bit northwest. We can get there in about 15, 20 minutes.
Exactly. It'll be super easy. I was thinking about that. Sometimes we have a daily drop-in guest that's joining us from far, far away. Even just yesterday, I took a Zoom call with someone in Utah. But you and I, we could actually physically be together right now. We could have made this happen, daily drop-in lifestyle.
We could have, absolutely. Yeah, we could have been getting some coffee. Oh, we got bathroom counter in Angleton, Texas. That's awesome. Thanks, Jessica.
This is what I wanted. See, Jessica, this makes me so happy because when we do the daily drop-in, we are hoping that you all are multitasking and just popping over to your phone or computer to make, wonderful comments. This is my favorite comment of the day. I think this is great. I love it. I love it. Mike, there's a lot to celebrate today. It's Thursday, December 9th. We have some wacky holidays from some very serious and emotional holidays we're going to get into. And then we have a good news article. I need full honesty here, Mike, because we're getting to know you as a leader. Now we really need to get to know your heart. How do you feel about a llama?
I think llamas are amazing. And I think there was a book, Is Your Mama a Llama?
There we go.
That's a children's book.
I think we all need to read that today because it is International Day of Celebrating Llamas. I don't know who needed to hear that, but let me tell you, if you're a llama fan, if you have a t-shirt or sweatshirt with a llama on it, today's the day to wear it. So hopefully you haven't picked out your outfit yet because we are celebrating llamas. This is the also, hard-hitting question of the Daily Drop-In, Mike. Are you a sweet or savory lover?
I think savory. I absolutely have to say savory.
I would say I'm kind of the same way. I think I lean more towards like a salty treat versus necessarily having a sweet tooth. But there are definitely people in my life that are the exact opposite, that like grab those sweets like crazy. Today is National Pastry Day. Typically pastries have a little bit of a sweet nature to them, but I bet we could find something that has a little bit of both.
I think so. I think we can absolutely find savory pastries at Deerfield's Bakery right down the street.
There you go. I love Deerfield's Bakery. A huge shout out to them. Gotta love Deerfield. I love it.
Right.
Yes, I was going to ask you, if you had the opportunity, let's say that money was no issue, you could go grab any pastry you wanted. I'd love to hear in the chat for our people tuning in as well if they have a pastry they lean towards. I feel like Bear Claws at Panera is constantly what people come up with. But pastry, do you have a pastry go-to that you would go?
Well, trying to watch my weight here, right? But I will say I like some sort of almond, like flaky crust, almond filling something inside. I don't know what it's called, but right now that's in my mind.
I will tell you, that is a phenomenal go-to. I am anything almond. I am a huge advocate for. Good. I think you just made me hungry. I will tell you. So good. It's also a world celebration of the Christmas card. We are going to be sending out Christmas cards. Hopefully you guys are getting those in the mail. I actually just received 2 yesterday, which is so fun. Friends and family sharing beautiful pictures of their friends and family, which is wonderful. It is also Tanzania Independence Day, so shout out to them. It is Techno Day, so go celebrate with some techno music. So there is a lot to celebrate today as we head into December 9th. In addition, Mike, our good news story is hits a little close to home. I will tell you, this is a little reminiscent of our childhood growing up, something very special. So while I'm not sure it's the hard-hitting news that the Daily Drop-In typically is able to touch on, I thought today would be a really wonderful opportunity here. For our good news today, officially 56 years ago, the Charlie Brown Christmas, that episode appeared on American television. So the Peanuts comic strip, obviously many of you know and love, at the time was a very small budget. And in 6 months with child actors, they produced the Christmas episode, the Charlie Brown Christmas episode. And it officially aired. There was jazz music that was utilized. There's some great holiday celebration. I think all of us have seen this little episode of them celebrating Christmas, and it was 22 minutes long, 22 animation. Charlie Brown finds himself just depressed despite the holiday season. Lucy suggests he direct a neighborhood Christmas play and pick out a tree for this event, but his best efforts are ignored and mocked by his peers. And so he goes through this process of identifying and supporting a very lonely tree, which brings the friends together. So for those of you who maybe haven't seen that clip anytime recently or haven't watched it yet this season, officially 56 years ago, this episode came out, and it's still referenced today in 2021.
It's iconic. It really is iconic.
So wonderful. I see that Christy is also jumping in, sharing that she is driving in Lexington and is ready to just step into her classroom for the morning. So I hope you're all ready for your day. Mike, it has been so fun to be able to laugh through stories, hear so much about your background, but also your passions. We've had a lot of interaction from our network today, kind of sharing where they're tuning in from, but also their good morning messages getting started for the day. I want to make sure that our friends here can stay connected to you. You are constantly sharing, constantly putting out content. I'd love for them to make sure that they have you added to their Teach Better network, their professional learning network. Can you share a little bit about where they can connect with you?
Absolutely, and I love it, Ray. I love the work that you guys are doing. It's absolutely fantastic. I'd love to stay connected. I have Twitter, so I've got my name up there on the screen at Mike Lubelfeld, MikeLubelfeld. Love to follow any educator who follows me and follow you back. So direct message there. I share the great work of the school district and our teachers and administrators and community, and also some personal professional stuff, and programs and everything. I'm also on LinkedIn. So I've got, if I publish something, I'll put it there, put some articles there. I have a blog on edublogs.org. I have to admit I haven't been as bloggy lately, but I get the inspiration and I'll start blogging. But I've got a nice set of several years of archives there. Mike Lubelfeld, edublogs.org. Keep it simple, just one name. And then our district is www.nssd112.org. And I've got a great director of communications. Shout out to Nicholas Glenn for keeping that website going. So any stuff that we're doing in the district can be found on the pages there.
Oh, Mike, it was so wonderful to have you join us bright and early. Thank you for all of this. And we have heard so many tips and tricks of strategies to utilize not only in our classrooms with our colleagues. I want to give a reminder to our network that if you are currently practicing something that you feel like could be really beneficial to share with others, not only to join us obviously in the comments every day, hopefully you'll join us on screen sometimes as well. We also want to give a shout out to our Teach Better Conference proposals. Those open on March 1st, and we are hoping for all of you to submit a proposal, share your voice. Mike, you as well. We'd love to have you share all the insight on a much larger scale at the Teach Better Conference over in 2022. So for those of you who are looking for information, of course, early bird registration is open, and you can get all the details, including setting a reminder for yourself that proposals open on March 1st. You can head over to teachbetterconference.com. If you have followed us on social media, there's a lot of tips and tricks on how to apply and submit a good proposal going on social media. So go check those out. But Mike, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a fun conversation.
Ray, thank you so much. Thank you for the incredible work you do. Thank you to the folks tuning in live and anyone that looks later. It's an absolute privilege to serve in education, and it's really fun talking with you today. So take care. Happy holidays to you. Enjoy all the good cheer and great things for you and for your family, Rae. Thank you so much.
So fun. I appreciate it. For everyone else, we hope you have a phenomenal Thursday. This is going to be the best Thursday you've had all year. Welcome to it. It's getting started. So we'd love to hear from you about it. If you are a part of our Edupreneur Mastermind or our podcast mastermind, don't forget that is later today. Otherwise, we will see you bright and early Friday morning for Daily Drop-In with the one and only Brad Hughes. Bye, friends. See you later. Thanks so much.
So right now, I want to know if you're ready to teach better.
That's the whole mission of this weekend.
Just being here ready to learn and grow and come together like this is awesome.
What are those small